Tara, and Chu is a gifted unpaid leader within Kingdomsburg Church and just has incredible gift of teaching and wisdom. And so Chu, today we're entering into the section of our videos on community and forming healthy community. And so from a biblical perspective, can you give us an overview or just a foundation of community from the Bible's perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to consider about community is that we were created for it. We were created in God's image. That's like one of the first things about the creation of man that we can count on. And what we know about God is that God is existing in perfect community for all eternity. And so heaven certainly has a corner on the market of what community is supposed to look like. And so I think it's really important that we understand that it's not just a suggestion that we walk together in community. It's not just a good idea and your life would be optimized if. It's a deep need. Like we all have this deep need for community, because like when you think about it, our growth, our wisdom and understanding, our capacity to love and to respond in ways like that actually reflect the grace and power and glory and love of God is all forged in community. You can't do it on your own in an island. So, but I also want to submit that a lot of times we want to do community, but the thing that holds us back from really engaging in the type of community that heaven intended, that we're all so desperate for, is that sometimes community hurts.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the insecurities that we enter in with community come in and lead us to want to create a version of ourselves that's not really accurate. And in doing so, we can actually we can push each other away instead of coming closer together.
It's like as we put on those masks,
Yeah.
it causes you to want
to
need
drift.
the mask too.
Well, the thing about being made in the image of God is that in the same way that God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble, we do too. We reject pride, and pride comes from that same word that comes from mask. It's a theater word. It means basically to cast an image of yourself that's not accurate, that's not the real thing.
Wow.
And so in community, I think one of the key things, the key aspects of a healthy community is humility. And humility, I think the most simple definition of humility is acting as if you understand how desperately you are in need of the Father, right?
That's good.
Desperate people don't front. If I am 3 days without a glass of water, I'm not going to pretend like I'm good. I gotta, I see you got a glass of water in your hand. I don't need it. I'm good. But we're all desperate. We relate to each other in our brokenness, and a community gives us the opportunity to parse out the adversity that we face. Adversity, I think, is a big part of community as well. Because let's face it, man, relationships are not clean and concise. Like we don't can put those in boxes. There's always this element of risk when you engage with people, and I really believe that one of the things that makes community work is that we can share our adversity with one another, and it's in the context of our brokenness that we really see our collective need, and which encourages us to walk out that need for God. And so one thing that I wanted to point out here in 1 John, I think is a really good picture of what we should be walking towards is in 1 John 1 verse 5. It says, "This is the message we have heard from him and announced to you, that God is light and in him there is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and yet walk in the darkness, we lie and do not practice the truth. But if we walk in the light as he himself is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his son, cleanses us from all sin." You see, we say that we have no sin, aka fronting, like everything's all good all the time.
Yeah.
We are deceiving ourselves, and the truth is not in us. And so really, the challenge, the biblical challenge to walk in community is to walk open, to walk in humility, And if you're leading a group, it becomes really important that you go first.
Right.
That if you're leading a group, that you create an environment where people can be honest. I'm not talking about bleeding all over everybody all the time. I'm just simply saying honesty is that's one of the key, I think, factors of creating solid, healthy community.
Man, that's so good. There's so much there to dig into and unpack. Thank you for that too. I think, you know, one of those things is just that, man, when we mask, we're putting pressure on others too, and the level of our vulnerability will be directly proportional to the vulnerability of the group. So thank you so much, Chu. It's awesome.
My pleasure.